kids. Shield your eyes.
This is about when my internet's going to go out because of the massive storm going over our house right now.
I disappeared for a little bit while you guys were talking, so I'm glad nobody's mentioned it yet.
Yeah, you're always here in our hearts.
Yeah, so this video is kind of obscure because I wanted to talk about it a while ago, but we didn't get a chance to. I've never seen it before. So before I show it, so the top of the deck on the carrier, and correct me if I'm wrong, WOMBAT, but it is basically like rhino line, right? The entire
non-skid. It's non-skid.
Non-skid, exactly.
Allegedly.
So when you first go on deployment, it's pretty good, right? I mean, it's on there, but obviously after, I don't know, hundreds of takeoffs and landings and airplanes taxiing over, the non-skid starts to come off, and then you get down to the steel of the flight deck, and then things get a little more slippery. So I'll play the video here, and then it's very quick. Here we go.
It's a short video.
It is. So it's an E-2. They're on Saratoga. This is 9091 during Desert Storm.
Yeah, Desert Storm.
And oh, there's an E-2.
Yeah.
Whoa.
See.
Look at that thing.
Tokyo Drift.
Black ice, baby, right there.
Right where we wanted to park it.
Nailed it.
Right next to an A6.
Like a glove.
I think it might play it again. Yeah, there's a Tomcat. And what it hit there, I think, was a external fuel tank that they were moving. So here, I'll just play it for you.
I have so much respect for those guys, those firefighters.
Look at this, man. Drop tank goes flying.
That's awesome.
What is the cause of this?
Well, that's what. So, all right, here we go. Let me pause this. All right, Wombat. So, have you ever in a Hawkeye, T-45, or Hornet had a problem with sliding on the deck?
All three, Bob. All three. Oh yeah.
Anything like that though?
Not that much. But we did get sideways in a Hawkeye. That scared me due to lack of ejection seats in the landing area. We got 90 off of the landing area because it just started sliding because of the pitching deck. Yep, that was a dope time. And then we would also, because let's make a long list of dumb crap we did in the Hawkeye. Pretty sure my mom's still listening, so this will help her age a little bit more. We would back the plane into the parking spot, because why wouldn't you on an aircraft carrier? You have the props, just back her in. The problem, if you look at a Hawkeye and you're backing in to either the forward or aft Hummer hole, as it was so much called, which I like, if you step on the brakes too hard, the nose comes up, which is bad, especially if you step on the brakes too hard and it doesn't stop, and then you step harder because you think that's going to make a difference, and you tilt the nose and the tail is over the back of the ship, the side of the ship, where it's not going to stop. At least if you're in the middle of flight deck, it'll hit the tail. You're like, all right, well, I'm here. This thing's a rental. But if the tail is over the water, it'll just keep going. We in our squadron came very close to that. I've had the Hornet slip on me at night, taxiing up on the bow in pitching deck, which was not fun, but there is something to be said for having an ejection seat. But as you know, if the wheel goes over, you're out of the ejection seat envelope immediately. So that kind of stinks. And the T-45, it slipped a little, but it was hilarious to me because it's daytime. And I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? You're like in a little go-kart. You're like, relax, champ. Like, we're fine. There's nobody on the flight deck. Like T-45 carrier quals is the best because it's an empty flight deck.
So like the only time I've ever had issues sliding around is using high gain nose wheel steering at Wooden Bite. But what I wanted to ask you was, being an E-2 guy, I mean, it's a pretty aggressive Tokyo, like Mover said, pretty aggressive Tokyo drift around the front of that Tomcat. What do you think? I mean, was he taxiing too fast, or you think there was a big swell, or a combination of both?
You know, I was curious. You can't really tell. And I mean, who knows? I mean, but you can't really tell based on the video if the deck's moving around or if it's I mean, again, remember, it's Desert Storm. They're doing combat ops. They're using that flight deck up. So my guess is the flight deck's probably not helping. The E-2 was easy to taxi. It had a lot of thrust, you know, with the props. But because of its size, at least in my experience, if you taxied too fast in the E-2, they were slowing you down. Like they were giving you the like, dude, like because again, the thing is a massive beast on the flight deck comparatively. Now, back in that day, maybe not as much because you had things like Tomcat and stuff like that were pretty big.
But what I wanted to ask you was, you know how like if you're taxiing, you know, the A320, even at idle has a lot of thrust, right? So it taxis really fast and you got to ride the brakes. Is the E2 like that? Like at idle?
Because of the blades, I don't ever recall that necessarily being an issue. My guess would be, you know, nighttime, remember when you're on a carrier, vertigo can happen taxiing. It's not just, you know, and I've had that too, where I'm taxiing around and I'm getting all sorts of screwed up because being on the carrier and the plane, you know, the carrier's moving. It's a very unique, as you know, situation where normally when you're on the ground taxiing, you're now back to two-dimensional world.
Yep.
On an aircraft carrier, you're not, because it could still be heaving and Dutch rolling and things like that. The guy knew it because if you look on the video, he is trying very hard to get his nose wheel steering. I mean, it was at the limit. And that is not that is a very deliberate thing in the Hawkeye. So the nose wheel steering, for the people that don't know, is actually a pistol grip, is what it is, and it folds out, and you would kind of do this to it to turn it. So he had that thing full lock, trying to turn away from that A6. But I mean, I think the proverbial wheels had fallen off at that point.
Yeah.
So thank God nobody got hurt. I mean, that drop tank is awesome. Shoots across like a pea coming out. You're like, oh, we don't need that guy anymore. But
safest
again,
place, man, in the old cockpit, man.
And right, but I mean, you know, you got back in that day, you know, 8 blades of fury spinning around. I mean, dude, anybody could have gotten
very lucky
taken off with that thing. But also notice the prop actually didn't eat itself.
I know.
That
surprised me when it hit
that thing, and it was like, because I was like, oh, there's going to be a blade missing because it's Grumman built, and they don't mess around.
Mover, what are your closing thoughts on that?
Don't fly E2s on the ship, or ever.
I get it. Boats are dumb.
Yeah. Unless it's a call sign, and then it's
make better life choices. I don't know what to tell you.
I think mine's worked out pretty well. I'll take that. It's crazy though. That was a crazy video when you showed it.
Yeah.